I always want to double check, because you never know.
It says this meeting is being live streamed. Got it.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I always double check. There's usually a little bit of a delay sometimes, a little bit of delay between Zoom and the actual, the website. So let's see if we are not showing up yet. So a few more seconds. Now I'm going to hit once we're live, I'll hit the record button to make sure everything
And
is on the record.
do they put questions in there or anything like that?
We ask for questions and people can drop. I got a whole set already ready to go. We can do it. Okay, cool. Okay, we're live within the group, but people can drop in any additional questions they want. And let me hit the record button. All right, folks. We are here. We're here. Got a special treat for you guys. So someone kind of unique in the real estate world that is doing a great job on a platform that you guys have asked a lot about, right? To get more content out there. Here is Pierce, former NFL player, right? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And TikToker that's doing a great job on that platform. So that's what I got for the introduction. But Pierce, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? I'd love to hear. It's got to be a great story. NFL over to real estate, right? How that transition happened. And then we can segue into the first question, which is why TikTok, right? So go for it. Take it away.
Yeah. So I grew up in Northern California and, was always active in sports. I'm 6'6", and I was 6'6" at 13 years old. So I didn't even start playing football till my junior season of football. So came late to that game, ended up going to Ole Miss, playing in the NFL and in Canada also, total of 6 years. So retired from football in 2019. And I had injured my knee in the last game that I had played in, and was, kind of just laying at home, collecting workers' comp, and just basically going to rehab for my knee for maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, and then just lay around and kind of feel a little sorry for myself. And, I'm saying, hey, I need to do something to better myself, just, as a person, all those different types of things. And I had already started real estate investing a little bit. I think at that point I owned the house that I originally had purchased, which was a duplex that I did a house hack in, and rented out the back unit for $1,400 a month, rented a room to my aunt for $700 a month. And so I actually lived in that property completely for free. My mortgage was $2,100. So that's kind of what gave me the real estate and real estate investing bug. And then while I was in the NFL, I purchased a 4-plex and 2 houses. And when I got injured, I was pretty much out of funds for down payments on properties. And one struggle that I really had when purchasing properties was the financing aspect. I played on 5 NFL teams, and I would go to your traditional bank and they would say to me, hey, you've changed jobs so much, it's really difficult for us to qualify you because your income's been, up and down, all those different type of things. And that's with NFL contracts. Yeah. So when I was laying at home, I sort of thought to myself, hey, do I want to go the realtor route or do I want to go the lending route? Well, I said, I've had issues with finding financing myself, and I really want to be able to solve those. Maybe I do become a realtor, in the future. But right now, I think I should take mortgage classes while I'm just laying around at home and see where that takes me. And so
I scratch your own itch. Want to scratch your own itch, learn something useful for you, your business, and kind of see where that was going to take you.
For sure. And so I hit up a few different mortgage lenders that I knew. And one guy who I actually is now my business partner, Josh, he gave me kind of the step-by-step to becoming a mortgage lender. And I ended up doing all the studying, passing all my classes, and did all of that in under 2 months. I ended up getting my license. And the day I got my license, he offered me a job. And I was not expecting that at all. And
come on over.
Yeah. And at the time I was still rehabbing my knee. So I started, and I started with the mortgage job basically to learn more. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and potentially play if I can get my knee better. And the fourth month of doing it, I made, first few months you're just getting going. But the fourth month of doing it, I made like, I don't know, $12,000. And then the second month of doing it, I made $20,000, or fifth month of doing it, I made like $20,000. And I was like, what am I doing going back and beating my body up? I've had 3 knee surgeries. So I'm just going to stick with that. And so, my whole start in the mortgage industry really wasn't to make money. It was more to educate myself. And I think when you approach something like that, if from an educational standpoint, then you're going to be very good at it. And I ended up being good at it, sticking with it, and learning a whole bunch of mortgage strategies to really help maximize my portfolio. And now I definitely focus on real estate investor clients. That's probably 80% of my business on the mortgage side. And not only helping them get one singular loan, but making sure we structure their portfolio to reach whatever goals they want to reach. Because the amount of times I've seen mortgage lenders put someone in the wrong mortgage product for what they're trying to do and where they're trying to go is, tremendous. And so it's really kind of almost like a real estate investing consulting that we do that kind of separates ourselves from, just your average mortgage lender, and then was able to help grow my own portfolio. So
I got you. So that's a great story, because when you got into it, you weren't sure what you were going to do, right? Was it going to be give the NFL another try? Let's see what's left, how many miles left in the knees, and then you kind of did this kind of out of boredom, kind of out of curiosity, to see if it could help in parallel, and one that ended up taking off. So I think that's pretty wild. So I mean, is this 2019? Is this like right before the pandemic, or is it like like a year before?
No, so yeah, this was so I got my license in September of 2019.
Wow. So it was right before the bomb went off, right before the world changed.
Yeah, and so that fifth month that I did do the 20 grand was right before the bomb went off, for sure. Wow. And so I was doing pretty darn well in that. And then obviously with rates dropping, maybe 3 months after that $20,000 month, it really started to take off for me. Yeah. Got it.
Wow. Hey, you even had some good timing as well, right? Hey, you never know, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I mean, that's great. So you started with this, and it looks like you took off really quickly. What was working for you at those early stages? Because right now I want to get to the TikTok part, but I want to start with, you're already successful before TikTok, it sounds like, right? You're not doing bad. Yeah. So what worked for you early on, and kind of what was that journey to try out a new channel, which is, again, real. I talked to a lot of real estate professionals. 99% of them not only are not on TikTok, right? They see no reason to be on there. Like, they're thinking it's like a whole different demographic. It's for the teenagers. It's all these things. So what worked for you at the beginning, and tell us about that evolution.
Sure. So first thing I started doing is just reaching out to everybody I know with no shame, basically sending out mass personal text messages. So I would go down the list of my phone, and I still do that to this day. If I move mortgage companies, I'll text everybody in my phone that I think, and sometimes it takes 3 or 4 days, to do that. But I was sending out text messages, and then I was even sending out text messages about rate drops and different loan products that we have. I don't have time to do that anymore, but that was really a main source of business. And then making sure that on all the social media platforms I was on back then, that that I was putting out there that I was in the mortgage business. That was, at that time, I think it was.
You had changed careers and you were starting a new business and you let everyone that already knew, liked, and trusted you, let them know, hey guys, hey, how can I help you guys?
And so I was, put all my information on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Those were the ones I was utilizing at that particular time. And then I would actively set out an hour of my day to sit and brainstorm new ways to get business. And I actively try anything I came up with during that hour. I would then set another hour of the day to actually do that, right? And then I was going to every single real estate meetup and just socializing event, like young professionals event, didn't even have to be in real estate, that I could go to. And then the last one is I would go to local dive bars and just try to meet people and hand out business cards. In fact,
you got the 6'6" guy, trying to, hey, everybody, hey, fellow,
and
people,
in
how's
fact,
it going down there?
In fact, there was one local dive bar. I think I did about 15 refinances in that one local dive bar because it had all the regulars, right? And so I did one guy's refinance. He told them that I got them a really good interest rate, and everybody in that dive bar wanted me to do their refinance as well. And and I just had no shame with any of that. In fact, I have a best friend that never did a real estate deal with me or anything, but the way we met is I handed him my business card, and he said we met and I don't remember this, but he said we met 3 times in different locations in like a 4-month period, and I handed him business cards each time.
Every single time.
and so he jokes about that to this day, that he's like, yeah, you're gonna hand this guy a business card. And I don't really do that anymore. But definitely getting and starting the business, I was, doing and trying everything I could.
Hunter, so you maximize your personal sphere, your database, whatever you want to call it. And then you didn't stop there. You found ways, pretty creative ways, to just meet more people, right?
Yeah.
The way you accelerated your growth by getting more people in that database, essentially, right? Like meeting more people at these events. And what market do you service, Pierce? Is it a specific area?
No, so me personally, I think I'm licensed in 30 something states, but me and my team are licensed in 48 states for primary residence stuff, and then investment properties and commercial loans. We can do all 50 states. So basically, we're able to service everywhere in the country, pretty much all the time. And
no, I love that, right? Because you're just trying to hustle, put some elbow grease into it, and just kind of go and meet new people. So this is already part of your DNA, sitting down, strategizing, right, and thinking of new ways to get in front of new people.
Sure.
Okay,
yeah.
So I'm seeing a pattern here, right? So now I'm going on a limb here. At some point, one of those hours, you're like TikTok, or how did you get introduced to that platform? Because for a lot of people, it's not the obvious choice. It's not, even right now. Spring of 2023, people watching this, don't lie, right? 99.9% of you are not on the platform, right? Maybe you're using it as a user, a lot of people are, but you haven't even thought of or dreamt of producing content on there. What got you involved in that, Pierce?
Yeah, so I had started doing some light content for Instagram, that sort of things, and then I had some buddies that were saying, "Oh, you should get on TikTok," and I was like, "TikTok? That's for kids. That's for dancing around." I said, "I'm not in a good way. I'm not gonna do any dancing, anything like that." And then I have one buddy specifically who I actually knew prior to real estate, me being in real estate and him. and his name on TikTok is Invest with Ace. And so he actually has, I think, almost a million followers on
Wow.
on TikTok these days, and maybe 200 on Instagram, something like that. And what he does is he wholesales properties. And but now he sells courses and real estate investing calculators and all different types of tools for investing specifically. And he told me I should get on there. And I went on there.
So that's different, right? That's like someone that's on there, right? I'm assuming having massive success and saying, hey, people have not caught on to this. A very different opinion in there, right?
Correct. Yeah. And so, and I looked at some of his videos and I was like, man, the quality and the time that he's putting in on these videos, I could never do that. Right. And so I jumped on the platform, started trying to make videos, and they make it very easy for you on there, especially with one thing I utilize religiously is just the green screen. Basically, you can take any video or picture and put it behind you and point at it and talk
like in a movie.
And talk about it. And so when I first started, probably took me 45 minutes to make a video. Now, depending on the video, just how in depth it is, how many different cuts it has, how many different scenes. A video can take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, right? And that includes me going and posting it on YouTube Shorts and then reposting it on Instagram. I'm reposting it on both of those, trying to build up the YouTube Shorts thing, but it's much harder to get traction there than TikTok. And then Instagram's equally as difficult. But yeah, I've been able to grow it to, I think, almost 60,000 followers on TikTok. And some of the videos have gotten millions of views.
Wow.
And there's been days where I've gotten over 200 phone calls and emails from one video. Of people wanting a loan or wanting to talk about real estate, that sort of thing. And there was a point that my phone number's on the TikTok right now, but there was a point where when rates were low, where things were very hot, where I had to take my phone number off of TikTok.
Stop contacting me
because I could not physically answer the amount of phone calls
Your
and
phone
texts.
was blowing up. It was useless.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably 100 phone calls a day, 75 text messages, and this is new clients. This is not. And so right now, in the times that we're in, I think that you're not getting as much traction because not as many people are looking to buy a home. But if I post consistently, which needs to be about three or four posts a day during the work week. But like I said, if that's just 45, it probably takes me 45 minutes to do 3 or 4 videos, right? And so, and if that's 5 times a week, that's really not that much time for the amount of leads that it's getting me, and it's probably turning into maybe 5 to 10 leads a day right now, which is a pretty good manageable number. And the
much
leads,
more manageable than 100 new inbound. Let me tell you, right? So yeah.
And the leads seem to be better quality. And the other thing that I really like about TikTok is you can actually almost control the client base that you work with, right? And what I mean by that,
tell me more,
is the type of post that you post. If I want to work with just first-time home buyers, I could just do videos on first-time home buyer loans, and you're gonna attract those type of clients. If you want to just work with high net worth clients, you're probably doing videos on fancy houses and jumbo loans and that sort of thing. If you want to work with just investor clients, you're posting videos on real estate investments, that sort of thing. And so I try to mix in client education with with videos on loan products that are more, hard sells of what loan products we have, right? So
I got you. And I've seen some really interesting videos, recently from you about, hey, condo HOA, and, like the pitfalls of that. And,
Sure.
this is why, kind of, interesting bits of information that are relevant if you want to be an investor in a condo. Otherwise, you kind of
Yeah.
whatever, right? So, but like that is, I think it's really smart. Like you're putting in content. It's clickable headline. Why did my HOA dues go from this to that, right? As an investor,
Mhm.
and like, holy cow, like what happened, right? So yeah, 100%. You're kind of filtering for people that want to know about those things. Who cares about HOA dues if you're not an owner or an investor? Cares? No one cares, right? Except if that can impact your life, right? So that's really really interesting. And so what is your I mean, those results have been awesome. And like you said, Pierce. The market from a year ago to now, very different market than a year ago, right? Like a year ago, almost to the dot, we started seeing like the interest rates change, the market kind of shift. It started about 12 months ago. When did you start leaning into the platform? Was it because of the market shift? Were you already leaning into TikTok before then? How has the shift impacted your efforts, if at all?
No, it really didn't. I started on, I want to say, on TikTok in maybe September or October of 2021.
Okay.
And so it's maintained. I've tried to stay consistent with it. There were points where I was like, oh, a little too busy. I'm not going to post for a little while. Right.
Slow it down.
Yeah.
Right?
But yeah, so it's been the same, but always trying to grow in the video production, and you never know where something's going to take you. And one of the most important things in today's day and world is, where can I get the most eyeballs? Where can I get in front of the most faces? And so even if you're new starting out with TikTok, a lot of times you're going to get 200, 300 views on a new video, even if you only have 50 followers or something like that. Well, you could go speak in front of a whole room of people and it not be, might not be 100%. That many eyeballs. And so, it's about time efficiency of outreach, in my mind, is what you're utilizing there.
And it's attention. Where can you get, like you said, eyeball? Where can you get people's attention and get that most attention? And again, people have a lot of preconceived notions about that. You're going to get a lot of attention, but from a bunch of teenagers. What have you found from being on the platform? I mean, is that, just early on, was it that the case, or did you always, did it guide you to your target audience right off the bat? Or was there like an evolution to that? Or did you, or better question, Pierce, how long before you started seeing some of those results? Was it a week in, a month in, 6 months in? How long did it take you from posting? At some point, you're just posting, like hoping things work, right? Like working it to where you're like, hey, this is going to take off. This could really be a driver for my business.
Yeah, maybe a month and a half, 2 months, somewhere around there. Month and a half, 2 months, where I started to see some leads, some quality leads come in. But I was staying consistent with it. I was trying to post 2 or 3 times a day, and I go back and look at my just overall speaking ability and the quality of the videos in comparison to today, and it's kind of a joke, And so I think another thing that it really gets you to do is to see yourself critically from the viewer's perspective and how you're coming across. So just me and you talking right now, I'm probably much better at speaking to you today than I would have been pre-TikTok. So I think the skill, even if you're not bringing in business, the skills that you're learning when you are making videos, you're having to learn to look at yourself critically on how you're speaking and articulating things, which is only going to help you convey those messages better towards your client base, which I think is really invaluable.
Yeah, the communication skill, you know, you've seen it improve. You're, you know, it's like, I'm guessing that kind of format, because for example, right here, this is what I do best, long form.
Sure.
Interview back and forth, that's kind of my thing. So, you know, selfishly, I've just created my TikTok, right, recently. And I found people like yourself that are like, holy cow, what are you guys? So I'm doing this as much for my own interest and my own business as for everybody else's that's going to be watching this. It's like, wow, this is something I want to do. I want to get into. It's not where my skill set is right now, but I want to level up, right? I'm like, hey, let's get to that level. I love what you said, right? You didn't start at this level. You didn't start, right? Because no one does. No one looks at that level.
Yeah.
Everyone looks at Mr. Beast's latest video. No one has the time or patience to scroll 8 years ago or how long has that guy been? Like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And see his crappy, you know, first few videos. But here's the thing, they didn't look great, but they were valuable. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't look great. Yeah, I'm sure you didn't do great on those first few videos, the first month in, but there was something valuable there that people are willing to overlook the crappiness, right? Like, hey, you know, this guy Pierce kind of knows what he's talking about. I love his story. Let's lean in a little bit and give him some of my attention. And I love the way you lay that out because that's what every platform. You know, everyone goes through that. But Pierce, talking about that, what was your? I want to get into process now, right? Because some people get stuck on that. They want to hire the editor. They want to get the camera and the lighting before they even start. So hence, they never start, right?
Yeah.
That's a really common issue I see with people around me. So what was your process? What did you use? And get down to as many details as you want. The equipment, the timing, the frequency. Sure. Back like, you know, October 2021, and what does it look like today? I'd love to hear that.
Sure. So I think first of all, there's a major fear that comes with hearing yourself on camera and speaking, and people don't want to look at themselves critically. I was definitely someone where I would record myself talking and I'd be like, oh, I sound like that, like, and didn't want to fix it, right? But you have to learn to look at yourself critically. Starting out, I literally just used my cell phone. The great thing about the TikTok app is you can basically use your cell phone to record all the videos and edit them.
It's really built for that. It's not really built to be like pro, you know, it's like it's geared towards grab your phone and just do it, right?
Yeah, and so I didn't know how to use the green screen or anything like that. I didn't know how to utilize cuts. I was kind of just going on there and giving a long form video similar to what you were talking about. And so now I try to incorporate more cuts because people's attention spans are short, right? And so the more you can kind of cut it up and maybe have new visuals behind you, new videos, all that different things within a longer form video, or you're just making a shorter form video that maybe doesn't give all the information in that one video. And so people always comment on there, oh, I see videos like this all the time, but they never give all the details. And then, you know, at least that's getting people interested. And then I'll come in and do maybe a longer form video that gives a longer, fuller explanation of whatever I'm talking about. And in terms of equipment specifically for the TikToks, the only thing that I've changed is I now have lights like this, right?
Nice.
And so that's the only thing that I've really changed in terms of that. And I made sure I got a newer phone to have the highest quality camera, right? But other than that, I'm still holding my phone like this, taking the TikTok with these lights in my face, right? And it's pretty simple. And then now we've started to, you know, have a podcast, me and my business partner, Josh, having guests very similar to this, just long form talking. Excuse me. And for that, got a webcam. I got this microphone, got, headphones, got whatever you call this thing. It's like a mixer type thing. And so we're trying to be higher production value on there. And I do have a film school student at USC that is doing all of our podcast editing and editing for shorts as well from those long form podcasts. But when we first started the podcast, actually had just a guy that I know editing it, and I would edit the shorts myself. So we didn't have that from the jump either on the podcast. And so we're trying to get the podcast up and rolling. And the guy who is in film school, he has only been working with us for maybe a month. So that's very new.
You for the podcast, you kind of maybe amped it up a little bit, got a little bit of fancier equipment. You got someone helping you out, but even for the podcast, you didn't start there either. That was like an add-on once you got some traction. And the pod, tell me more about the pod. What's it called, and what's the audience? What's it geared towards?
Yeah, it's called Own the Block, and it's really helping real estate investors to have a better understanding of loan products, real estate, different strategies for investing, all of that different type of thing. So thus far, we've had some title agents on. We had someone that was the head salesman for a real estate a real estate turnkey company. Mm-hmm. We had a wholesaler on. We had a upper level guy that had to do with non-QM lending, which is non-qualified mortgage, which is basically non-conventional lending. So, we've had some pretty good guests on there, but it's definitely geared toward the real estate investor and helping to educate really that type of person. Hyper-focus on that niche. So now you're creating a lot of content, right? You're doing multiple pieces for TikTok. Now you're doing this podcast. What is your content creation schedule? And if you don't have one, tell us that too. Just remember, give us the real, right? Be honest. Sure. How do you create all that content, right? You're doing multiple during the week, multiple posts on TikTok. You try to batch these things up and upload them. Do you do it what? I think I had someone here that would do 1 or 2 days a month, but full days, is creating a ton of content that they would try to repurpose during the whole month. What if any process you have right now? Because you're doing a lot of stuff. So if I'm not busy, how I fill up my time is I'm doing TikToks, right? So there's really not any schedule there. And
whenever you're free.
And I post them right away. I don't backlog anything. Now there are times where what I'll do is I'll go through my old posts, and maybe I find an old post and just repost it. A post that maybe got me a lot of traction. And that might have been 50 posts ago, but if it's still relevant to today's day and age, there's a lot of folks out there that hadn't seen that post yet. And so I'll repost it if I don't have anything to post or any ideas, right? And so that's basically how the TikToking goes. And then with the podcast, we're a little more scheduled. Obviously, we have to be trying to do 1 to 2 of those a week now, getting back consistent with that. And then I'll watch those as soon as they're edited by our film school guy. And then I watch them and go through and give him timestamps on where I want the shorts to come from. And then I just let him have free reign in terms of the cutting, where to cut them, where, to make the short really nice and sleek. And then those, if we get a lot of shorts from a particular podcast will I'll maybe post 4 one day and then 4 the next, or however that comes out. And sometimes a podcast, like I did a podcast last week, and I actually this morning I watched that one, and that one had about 15 to 16 short opportunities in it, which was a lot. There was a lot of points in there, but some videos only have 2 or 3. It really depends on how that conversation is going and that sort of thing. So
I got this. So much more structured, much more scheduled on the long form, the podcast, but even that, you're going to try and turn into repurpose it, right? Repurpose some of that content into short form. And for TikTok, for the short form specifically, what is your, if you have a process, if not, that works too, to come up with that next video? Does anyone influence you? Do you follow content creators? Is it just whatever, Pierce is thinking that day, something you found an interesting piece of information, or tell them what's that, because you're creating some really great pieces of content, interesting stuff for people. What's that creative process? If there's even one to speak of, be honest.
Sure. So whenever we get a new loan product, I'm trying to do a video on it. So that's kind of an easy one.
Nice.
If I'm talking to a client and they ask me a question that I go, that could make an interesting video. I'll just jot that down on a piece of paper and for a video later. Right. I sometimes ask my business partner, hey, have you came across anything interesting? He's tried to do the TikTok, but he hasn't really been too enthused by it, I don't think. But I'll ask him if he's had any good questions or any good ideas. Sometimes he'll have some for me, other times none. And then if I'm really hurting for an idea, I will go on other real estate influencers pages and watch some of their videos. And a lot of time, it's not me copying their videos. A lot of times they'll mention one little thing in their video where I'll be like, ooh, I could do a video on that. And so
on that angle, on that topic, and that point,
right? And so a lot of times it has nothing to do with their video, but sometimes just hearing other people talk about real estate in general can bring up something in my head. And so that normally occurs if I'm like laying on the couch late at night or something like that, just scrolling through. And I don't really watch others' content for the value of it. I'm really just watching it for the value it is to me on the TikTok side of things. I just
looking for ideas, looking for something fresh, looking for inspiration. I think is the word, right? Looking for some inspiration on something interesting to talk to your audience to, right? To get them in there. Yeah, I love it. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Pierce, so let's start wrapping it up. But what would you say to people? Our audience is comprised mostly of beginners, newbies, novices in the TikTok world. What recommendations would you give to someone that's getting started now? Not October. It would have been great to start in October 2021. The best day is start tomorrow, right? That's the second best day you can start off. What recommendations would you give folks, in the spring of 2023 to get started and, lose the fear, lose the reservation, kind of go in there and give it a shot?
Yeah, I would just start doing videos. You think of an idea, just record that idea and just get it down and get it posted. You can always delete it. And yeah, that's trying to think what else I would say there.
I mean, just get in there, try it out. I mean, just go in there and do it. I mean, maybe that's it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple.
It's pretty, keep it simple, because I think we're in real estate, right? We're in real estate. It's the one topic that everybody's interested in some way, shape, or form, right? There's so many things, that we can. I think once you get into the habit, because I think about myself in this format, and this for my audience, I do a lot of these long form things. I mean, and I'll jump live here in this group talking about something similar to what you said. You find a great question, you run into a really interesting problem that day, like, hey, let me tell you about what happened today, right? You know, so
Yeah, just get on there and tell a story.
it's hard at the beginning. You do it enough times, and now it's just second nature. Like, oh wow, it'd be a great clip for my out. Let me do that. Let me remember that. It's a really good one. Or you got a really good question from someone. A customer ran into an issue. Like, don't do that, right? Because we had this issue with this, you know, loan, this transaction, et cetera, right? So it can sound daunting at the beginning, but it's like, then it's like, you know, yeah, you know, you get used to it. Your mind, for me at least, a switch went off, and like, now I get multiple ideas a day, like multiple, and you know, like, hey, it just comes with kind of just making it a habit, I guess, is the term I'm looking for. Start at the beginning, any habit is a pain. Like, it's like, it's like a chore, right? But there's something that can go on. They can make it a little bit easier next time, a little bit easier, and then it just happens every single day.
Well, one easy one that everybody can do, especially if you've been in the real estate game for a while, is everyone has some type of funny story with a client interaction or something like that, right?
Yes.
And so my business partner, for example, he didn't really want to do it, and I said, he's been in the industry since, he's much older than me. He's been in the industry since 2003 or something like that. And he has a million stories he tells me all the time about like client interactions and different things. And one of the videos that he probably did maybe 10 TikToks, but he went on there and he did a video on a client interaction, right? And it was about and he went on there and did the voice and everything. It was a Russian guy who called him, and the guy goes, "Mr. Joshua, he's like, I want discount on rate." And he goes on there and does this whole bit, and he goes, would you I get you free tire for a car if you want free tire, right? And he's like, no, I'm okay, thanks. And then he's like, you want girlfriend? I find you girlfriend. and so
that's the punchline. That's the punchline.
Yeah. And so he did that video on just that funny story about a client, and it actually got him some leads. And so you know, I bet some of the people who have been realtors that are listening to this for a long time have a million of those stories that they could just write down, think of in the middle of the day and write down, and just be the real estate storyteller on there. And people are going to want to work with you just because of your personality. You know, if you're telling funny stories like that.
This is a person-to-person business, right? You know, people don't just go on a website and drop a menu down to pick a loan, right? There's a reason there's mortgage brokers. There's a reason there's salespeople in this role, because people like buying from another person and not dropping down, doing a drop down, which would probably be a terrible idea anyway, right? But they don't want to pick a loan off of a drop down and kind of go with whatever the algorithm suggests, right? There's a reason there's someone there. People like that personal connection, and I think TikTok is another way to lean into that, right? Lean into that. I mean, we're in real estate, we're in mortgage, because we tend to be good with people, right? Mostly. Again, there's exceptions to everyone, right? But mostly because you do a decent job talking to people, usually, right? TikTok is another way to lean into that skill, into that, that ability people have of telling a story, of communicating, of educating, right? Coaching. I see some people on TikTok that are almost like berating. Like they're like, just complaining about their audience. Like, it's funny though. It's hilarious, right? It's like agents complaining about buyers and sellers, like on the platform. And I go, holy, they get it, right? They get it. But that's entertaining, right? It's entertaining as well as educational. And it shows that they know what the hell they're doing probably, and how, you should do things the right way. I think it's brilliant when people when they get the platform, when they get it, and they find those those angles to communicate.
Well, I think something that's majorly lost in just the longer that you're in an industry is you forget what it was like to be a newbie mortgage lender or a newbie realtor or the client who wasn't in the industry. So
how clueless you are, like
how clueless you are, and the fact that you don't even know anybody in the industry, because we're in the industry, we know people in the industry, we know facts about the industry that just seem mundane to us, but to the average consumer, that they might have no idea what that is. And so you can make a video that you could see as teaching somebody A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Teaching them the ABCs of real estate. And there's going to be someone out there on TikTok, especially, that provided a high level of education for them. And so, like, as a realtor, you could go on there and say something as simple as, hey, did you know that I actually have nothing to do with the documents that you sign as a home buyer? We have something called a title attorney or title and escrow company that works on a title search of the property and has you sign your final docs. So and that, to a realtor or a mortgage lender or someone who works in the industry, seems very elementary. But I remember when I bought my first property, I have to go where? I got to go to this title company to sign docs. I thought I went to the real estate office or the mortgage company to sign docs, and I had no clue. And so, and
a million things like that. There's a million things like that.
100%. And so you can do it very
credit score, Pierce. Man, you could do a whole TikTok, account on the whole topic of like people's credit score and how it impacts your loan and how you improve it and how you bring it down and all that. Just that, holy cow, can also be an interesting one. But it's like you said, it's that habit of not looking at it as a mundane, boring detail and seeing it as something that a newbie, a novice, a completely uninformed person could find interesting, right?
100%.
Like getting out of the 10-year veteran mindset and being into the, the wonderment, right? Discovery kind of mindset. It takes a shift, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Pierce, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you so much. If people want to continue the conversation, they want to check out we'll drop a link to your TikTok, and if you can send me a link to the podcast, I'll drop a link here as well. What's the best way for people to reach out to you if they want to have like follow-up questions about you, about your business? What's the best way to reach you?
Send me an email at P Burton, BURTON, at Nexa, that's NEXA mortgage.com.
Cool. Next mortgage. Or go on TikTok and find your phone number too, right? That's the other, that's the other way to do it. So awesome. Great. Pierce, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And it's gonna be a great one. I love it. It's gonna be a very, very clippable interview here as well. It's gonna be a great piece of content. So appreciate you, man. And hopefully we'll have you here in the future again. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.